God has given us a body. He's given us a body with sense organs for a whole variety of reasons. According to the Indian spiritual tradition, the entire purpose of life is to go beyond the physical calls of the body. And so whether it's hunger, whether it's thirst, whether it's fatigue, whether it's sex drive, all of the spiritual practices are going to be those that take you beyond being a slave to those. Doesn't mean you never eat or drink or sleep or have sex again, but it means that the spiritual practices of fasting, of staying awake all night, of, standing on one leg as Puja Swamiji had to for 11 hours a day, of celibacy or abstinence. The practices are not saying food is bad, water is bad, sleep is bad, sex is bad. It's not that. What it's saying is you are not a slave to them. You are the soul, you're not the body. And yeah, sometimes the body's going to scream for food, and sometimes it's going to scream for sleep, and sometimes it's going to scream for sex, and sometimes it's going to scream for other things. And if you live your life thinking that your job is to respond to the screams of the body, you're never going to be able to attain what you're really here for. That only comes in the freedom from being a slave to it. And that's why these practices are there, simply to train us in knowing, yeah, I'm hungry. Yes, my stomach is screaming for food, but I'm fasting. I'm not eating. And it's a teaching that even after you've gone back to eating a day later, a few days later, however long your fast is, even once you go back to it, the transformation that has taken place is still with you. You know I'm not a slave to it. There's my stomach growling. I have a choice. I can eat, I cannot eat. I can eat now, I can eat later. I'm not a slave. In the same way, my mind is clamoring for sex. I can, but I don't have to. I've got full freedom. That's the freedom. When we talk about moksha and liberation, it's not freedom from the body. That's easy. Well, obviously, if you have no more body, you're not going to have any more desires of the body. The real moksha and liberation is in the body. They still exist. The sense organs still exist, but I am free. I am not their slave. And so here's the issue with sex, is until and unless you've taken vows of celibacy or vows of renunciation, and assuming that you're in a loving, committed, healthy, spiritual relationship, there's nothing wrong with sex. It's how our species gets propagated. Indians love marriage. It's like the favorite thing. Not even one, it lasts 4, 5, 6 days. It's a whole thing. They love marriage. They love everything it symbolizes, a new family. It's going to be made. Well, how is it going to be made? It's going to be made because these people are going to have sex. Otherwise, you don't get babies. We have yet to figure out how to create one in a petri dish. And so, yes, it's there and it's fine. Beautiful even. An act of creation. When it's in the service of creation. The dilemma comes when it's in the service of simply fulfilling an unfulfillable, unending, insatiable hunger of my body. And that's what the spirituality teaches us to go beyond. So even a married couple, a spiritual teacher is going to say, have restraint. Less restraint if you're trying to have children than if you're done. But have restraint. If your childbearing days are over, okay, this is now the time, even you're still married, this is now the time to move beyond these things. You're not going to have a body forever. If you keep identifying as that, you're going to lose the whole reason you were here. I mean, it's like chocolate tastes really good. Okay. Nothing wrong until and unless you've taken a vow against eating chocolate. There is nothing wrong, and assuming you're not diabetic or with rotten teeth, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a piece of chocolate. And you don't want to do it all day, every day. It'll make you sick on every level. And you don't want to feel compelled to do it. You don't want to be a slave of the tongue that has gotten so habituated to this carb rush that if you don't eat chocolate, you can't concentrate. It defeats the purpose. And so that's what it's about. Creation is beautiful. Whether we see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, it's beautiful. Nothing wrong with enjoying the creation and enjoying how your own body interacts with that creation. But ultimately, the point is to remember you're not your body. And so how quickly can you start to connect with that which isn't the body? Because that's what you're going to need. That's the key to your freedom. That's the key to enlightenment. And so that's why they say to exercise restraint. Additionally, and just lastly, it's also seen that the sexual energy specifically, not sight, smell, taste, touch, but specifically sexual energy, actually is a very, very powerful source of physiological energy in the body. And that every time you literally release it, you are losing it. And so that's another reason why the spiritual teachers say, be careful. Especially as you get older. Conserve that energy. Conserve the vital force of your body. That's what brings you health and vitality. So that's the other reason.